Hello, my name is Jean, and I love AI. I really do. I don't mean to say this for standing out controversially, but it's just been a wonderful experience for me, and I'll tell you why and how. But for that, I'll sort of start to the time when I was around 13, I believe, and I have a little PowerPoint presentation next to it. This is me, and the beginning of how I started to question about myself. And I remember there was a time in summer where I think I was quite lost. And I was outside in the nature because I live in the nature, not anymore because I study now, but I used to live in the nature. And I remember starting to repeat in myself, yes, 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 which means me, or myself, sort of. It's hard to translate in English, but in my language, in Slovene, it's just. And I started repeating this me, and really thinking about it, and I started to. I think it was the first time where I was like, I'm capable of making decisions. This is who I am. I am in this body. I don't know if this is so bizarre for anybody else, but for me, this question of how much power I have inside me, or how much do I actually influence my life. I haven't really bothered about it before, but after that I was fascinated by it. And this sort of sparked this journey, I would say. Then in high school I was struggling a bit because I was going to, I wouldn't say a prestigious school, just a school where there is no specific topic, but you have to, I don't know how it's called in English, but you have to focus on all subjects. I hated that, and I dropped out and I went to film school. And here we go, my next slide. Oh, my screensaver turned on. Wait a second. My next slide. This, my film school team. It's not focusing. Oh, because I set the manual focus. Okay, yeah. So this is my film school team, and it was amazing. We created a lot of interesting things. We were all dabbling in different areas, and I finally found purpose to do something which I hadn't had before. It was content creation. Since I was little, I was creating music videos or dancing to music videos, then Lego videos, then video game videos, but nothing really sticked out or motivated me. But this film school did, and I think I spent 2 years with them, and we were having a lot of fun. However, during the last year, I would say, at the film school, which is the 4th year, I started to feel that we are heading different directions. It was most noticeable with the film ideas. I felt that my ideas were never really considered, or they were considered, but they were very quickly disregarded. And it's understandable, sort of. We had very much different interests. My interest was not so commercial, and they were very much into cars and into this specific narrative that was, I think, quite popular at the time. Wait, I'm just checking if I'm in focus. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Okay. Oh shit. Now this is stuck. I'm back. I put it on autofocus because I felt that it was jumping too much. Well, not it was jumping, it wasn't jumping, but I'm moving forward and back all of the time, so I think it's better to leave it on autofocus. Basically, me and the team started falling apart. Not apart, just distancing each other. They focused on their stuff and I started focus on my stuff. I was also very much, by the time I distanced myself, I was very much appalled by the whole idea of large teams, each person doing one thing, this crazy schedules from 4 in the morning to 2 in the morning, crazy. And I felt a lot of time was lost in that. It wasn't as productive as it could be. It was talking morning, you wake up at 4, but then they drink coffee until 8. I'm exaggerating, but that's how I felt. And I went into a complete other direction, which for me was doing self-portraits, meaning I can do something by myself and I don't have to rely on anybody or ask anybody for permission or for confirmation to do something, which was perfect. And ever since then, I of course started studying at the Academy of Fine Art here in Slovenia in photography, and I've been doing projects in various different ways of self-portraits throughout that whole time. And I can show you on my lovely screen. This is one of my first self-portraits that I was really happy with. It was on the topic that I was experiencing at the time, which was overthinking. I was going through a breakup and my head was so full, much more than normally, even though it's always, I feel like, very full, but at that time I couldn't think properly. So my way of dealing with it was writing thoughts down and then creating self-portraits out of it to sort of visualize those feelings. And it was a cool way to grow as an artist, I feel like. I'm very thankful now that this all happened and pushed me to be who I am. I'll fix the light, just a second. Okay, I think this is better because half of my side was black now. I like how we're adjusting the video as we go. But yeah, basically self-portraits were a way for me to find myself and to ground myself in a sense. And during the years at the academy, I started to expand on this, and I did visuals of myself that you can't really recognize me anymore so much as the subject, or examples like this, although you can't really see the right one because it's too bright for the screen, I guess. But it's just a figure in this reality you can't really grasp. I was digging it. I loved it. It really made me happy. And already when I was doing that, I was dealing with a lot of comments in a sense of, okay, sure, this is a little fun game for you. You create self-portraits, but how are you going to live off self-portraits? How are you going to create something for clients? How are you going to create something for clients? And I said, I don't know, but I will. And I did. For example, this was for a client. This was for maybe not really a client, but more as of a gift to a mentor of mine. But it's because they wanted this. So it's been working out pretty well. But then came AI. At least I got introduced to AI. I found this artist Noah Farrell, who I admire, and I was amazed by the worlds that she can create using AI. It was mind-blowing to me how you can create these shots or these stills that are in my head all of the time and that I dream of without ever actually needing to be there or be with a large team or that. And so this light is horribly bright. Okay, and so I during this summer started to learn a bit about AI myself, and in that process I was also amazed because now I could take these self-portraits of mine and expand them further to create these crazy worlds that I couldn't grasp. I know I'm stuttering, but it's really fascinating to me how this was possible. I was shocked and I got obsessed, and since then I've been using AI pretty much every day. Not really every day, but a lot of the time. And also using those images to do completely different contexts. For example, it was for a music festival. I selected this one at the end, but as you can see, I could take some work of mine, or I could take something I create and then combine it with something else that I am interested in, and with text, and then I can modify it. And again, it's the same principle as with self-portraits. I don't have to rely on anybody else. Technically, of course, if there would be nobody else on this planet, AI would have nothing to take from, but that's another topic. So I would not have to really rely on anybody else, and I could do and create as much as I want and however I wanted. Again, I love that. So then comes the question, I can't really read the title, but what's the problem, would maybe I say, with AI? And what I've figured out, and this is what my diploma is going to be about, so I'm going to probably figure out a lot more, but it is that, at least when it comes to creating, it has a visual look that it sticks to a lot, and it wants to go to that look so much so that it creates these beautiful, perfect images of humans that is just unbelievably beautified, but in a way that it's actually not beautiful anymore, because it's too beautiful. It's not real. It doesn't feel real. I don't feel attracted to this. It's like, I could imagine this is a sex robot in the future, because this beauty standard is so toxic in a way. But what are the methods to battle this? This is why I use Midjourney for creating, and it is because it gives you methods to use a command of weirdness. How weird do you want the image to be? It's very funny, but the higher the value, it goes up to 3000, the weirder and the less perfect or in the it will more deviate from the Midjourney aesthetic, so this beauty look. But again, if you go to 3000, it usually just gives you such weirdness that, at least in my case, I don't want that. So sort of have this constant back and forth to get what you want. It's not so, I would say I hear a lot of the times that the fear that it will take away something or it will replace artists, which right now I don't feel that it will. And I'm not looking just at right now, I'm looking at the future, but I think it's the input of the artist that can make the work unique. Like, you can also see for example, I've always dealt with this because I study photography, with the film normies. I have nothing against film normies. You do you. But I've heard time and time again that digital photography is not real photography, and then manipulating it in Photoshop is completely outrageous, and then AI, they probably would want to kill you. But it's funny because maybe they are film normies, but I've seen so many people who tell me these things create the most basic generic things that you can have seen everywhere on the internet. And it gives you something to think, Maybe they are afraid because this is something I think could be replaced by AI. Because it creates these generic norms or these generic things so effortlessly. Anybody can do it. But is that really a bad thing? Maybe it will just get so oversaturated that it wouldn't really get attention anymore. So it's really going to be important that you are unique. A lot of questions. And this light is so bright, I'm sorry. Oh my god. But I think if you put thought into what you create, or actually it's not always the thought. Sometimes I did randomly get interesting results by just trying out different things. But I think you still need a bit of creativity to recognize those results. You get so much and you have to narrow it down, which is important and I think quite hard to do. This is one of my favorite images ever I've created, and it's using AI. And then I really enjoy taking my older photographs, for example this self-portrait of mine and a photograph of my classmate, combining them into something completely new. I love this. And then expanding this world. You barely can see it, but I love to just stretch and see what happens. And then I have here, I created this album cover out of it. And now my favorite work I've ever done, I did this week, because I'm having an exhibition, a solo exhibition, and it's about AI. Whoa, who would have thought? But I got this image using AI, and I didn't really feel that it was that special. But we had to like post something on internet, and I didn't want to show the other works yet, so I started creating something new, and I did this. So I sent them this, but I was really not digging it. I felt that it did portray a feeling I wanted, but it was not quite it. And I played around and I did this. So I think you can not see it that well, but it's basically this human who is almost a bird. It reminds me a lot of Icarus from Greek mythology. And this is just something I think it's a tool. I think AI is a tool for creators to use, and for me it's the perfect tool right now, really. I'm battling a lot of pushback from everywhere, even from my mother, who's always been supportive and still is, but she really does not dig AI. And I understand that. It's not for everybody. Even maybe not transition, but I'll go into other areas. But as of right now, I think it allows me to expand on these worlds, and even though most of the things I do with AI maybe are not as good, I still think it's a direction I have to keep pushing to get to where I want. But then, of course, the fear of being misused is always there, and it's going to happen. I'm sure of it. It always does with everything. But I think it will not take away things as people think it will. Like when there was realistic painting and then photography came, and it was a whole thing how it's going to take away painters and painting in general. But it didn't. It just allowed for them to explore maybe different areas, to go into abstract and expressionistic painting. And then also with photography there was darkroom manipulation. People hate change, and then it was digital, and then it was Photoshop, and we're evolving, we're changing, and I think we should try to make most of it, but try to focus to make people aware of what are maybe some negative things that can come out of it. Yeah, and one last thing to wrap it up, I would say, is I think AI also allows individuals, as maybe myself, who I don't really want to hang. I love people, but I mostly don't really enjoy hanging out that much, and I want to just be with myself in my room creating or watching YouTube or whatever, playing video games. But it allows me to create and expand my work in such a different level than I could before. I think that's pretty big and pretty important. And of course, you could say the big corporations, the Hollywoods, the whatevers, have this tool as well, and so much more, and so many more people, and so much more budget. Of course, they will always have that. But we have what we have, and I think this is great. So maybe we should be fast to use it and incorporate it in our works and make the best out of it before it all gets conglomerized. Okay, this is it. Thank you for listening. I'm probably blind now because of this light, but I hope not. Yeah, enjoy. And if you want, maybe follow me. Of course I'm creating a website and it's not done yet, blah blah blah, but you can follow me on my Instagram until then, or subscribe on YouTube. Bye bye.